Ron and Don are licensed real estate brokers with Windermere Midtown. Are you ready to buy or sell a home? Yeah, call my dad or his best friend Ron.
All right, we're heard your plea. Now you got three episodes of the Ron and Don Show. Thanks to Les Schwab, and this is the week. This is Thanksgiving week. In fact, this is the day before Thanksgiving. We're recording this for you guys. Episode number 30. Stop by Les Schwab Tire Center when you're out and about. Your family's probably in town. Stop by Les Schwab Tire Center. Grab your rig. They'll throw it up in a rack. And for free, they'll take a look, make sure everything's ready to go as we head into some pretty tough winter driving ones. Do that for free. The other guys charge hundreds of dollars. Here's the other thing I love, too. Bring a non-perishable food item. They'll make sure that gets to Food Lifeline just in time as we head into the holidays, too. We want to make sure that nobody in the great state of Washington goes hungry. And Les Schwab, they have 85 centers to serve you. LesSchwab.com. Stop by. Drop off some food. Who does that anymore? Usually you got to click on the internet and you're kind of done. This is cool. You can walk into the store, buy stuff, take it to Les Schwab, and feel like you're doing something. Because guess what? You are doing something. And we thank Les Schwab for the partnership. So a lot of people getting ready to travel this week too, right?
Yeah, there's a couple stories I found really interesting. Many people are traveling. You go see family. I like to take bigger trips, usually around the holidays, because you get those sort of natural days off where there's not a lot of business happening. Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, whatnot. So the first one, and I'll be interested to see what your biggest takeaway ever, because you've traveled quite a bit in these last couple of years. The new Guinness World Record holder for going to every country on the planet. Her name is Lexi Alford. She's 21 years old. She has been to all 196 countries on the planet. She's the youngest person. She shaved the 3 years off of the world record. I guess her parents were in the travel industry, and so she traveled widely as a kid. And by 18, she'd already been to 72 countries. And so she went to her parents and was like, is there a way you think I could become the youngest person ever to visit every country on Earth? And they said, yeah. So Bloomberg caught up with her when she hit her final country. I guess there's 195 states widely recognized as countries, and then Taiwan they throw in as 196. I don't understand why Taiwan doesn't count as a country officially, but I'll have to get into that in another. Maybe someone can email me of why that is, because I counted Rome as its own, or the Vatican as its own country. So when I was in Rome or in Italy, you feel like you get two countries for the price of one if you're someone like me that likes to count those passport stamps. Anyway, I digress. So they asked her on Bloomberg, it's like, what are your biggest travel hacks? What are the things that you wish that you could tell when you're traveling so much of what these inexperienced travelers do when you're there? And so the one of them that I completely agree with, and she said, and this is my biggest one, she says she only travels with carry-on bags exclusively. And so I adopted this about 5 years ago or so, where I said, I'm never checking a bag ever again. Doesn't matter if I'm going somewhere for 3 days or for 2 weeks. I'm just taking one bag. And so I was on a search to find the perfect bag. And I finally did. A company down here, I'll give them a free shout out. It's the Chrome Store, CHROME, Chrome Store on First Avenue in downtown. They have what I think is the world's perfect travel backpack. It's black. It opens up. It's got all these zipper compartments. You've seen it as I travel. If I can't fit it in that bag, then it doesn't come. Doesn't come on the trip. So if I'm going out of the country, I lay everything out on the table. It has to fit in that bag, and then I just keep paring it down until I can get everything into that one bag. That will revolutionize your travel more than anything else.
So why is that? Because you're not dealing with lost bags and you're not waiting for bags. And
Well, because most people have bought, when I'm traveling, especially abroad, and you see someone that has the roller bag, that seems like such a great idea. You're like, I'm going to go to the store, buy this bag with wheels. It's usually oversized. They get a bigger one than they need, and it weighs 50 pounds, 60 pounds, 70 pounds. They cram it full of all sorts of extra stuff because they're not disciplined packers. Oh. And then you get them to their destination, and they forget that, I have to walk a mile from my gate to the train. and then it's another half a mile walk to my hotel. And then I'm going upstairs. No, I'm now in a foreign country, so they don't have big elevators. So now I'm walking up 4 flights of stairs. And then they're lugging that thing around on cobblestone streets, trying to get in and out of subway stations, trying to get in and off of buses with this big roller bag. And it's just miserable. It's flopping over to the side. It gets caught, and the wheels get caught. Just get this backpack, strap it on.
Yeah, but my mom couldn't carry like the backpack. And I have one. I think I have the same backpack because you encouraged me to get it. It's a great backpack, but you and I can lug that around. My mom, who's in her 70s, she couldn't lug that backpack.
Well, she could do a smaller backpack. I mean, maybe
no
for age related people. If you're in your mid 70s, you're probably not doing the type of trip I'm speaking of. Then do your thing. Realize you're just going to have to spend more money on transport to get here and there.
Wow, you just threw down on people in their 70s. We're gonna hear from them.
The
now.
World record holder agrees with me. Carry on only. It will revolutionize. Do you not agree with that? Did it not help you? Because I encouraged you hard to just do the one backpack thing when we traveled.
It was fun, and I have no problem. Like if I'm traveling with my son somewhere and it's a one stop to my mom's house and we're going to put in Christmas gifts and I'm going to check that at the plane, I have no problem checking that in the plane or just sending it early. So it depends on where I'm going, who I'm taking, and if you're packing for another human, then you may not be able to put all that in a backpack. And if you're a parent out there and you have 3 or 4 kids you're taking, chances are, you can't put all that in a backpack. So it just depends. You're one only lonely guy out there. So if you're packing for your family, it's different, I think.
And then the other thing that's been trending travel-wise for this holiday week is there's a subreddit channel. I'm not a Reddit guy, but it's one of the most popular websites in the world. And it's the disgusting things people do on their plane. And it's a picture of a woman. She looks horrified. It looks like she's in the middle seat, and she's taking a selfie on her plane seat. And there is a person, they look like man feet, naked feet. They're not in socks, not in shoes. The feet are coming up over the top of her headrest, and they're inches away from the top of her head. So the person behind her is somehow scissored himself, got on the plane, took his shoes off, took his socks off, scissored himself in the seat so that his feet are coming all the way up over the seat in front of her. And so she put this picture up, and it's gotten over 1,000 comments and counting of people absolutely disgusting. People want this guy to be arrested. They want him forcibly removed off the plane for putting his feet up.
Why did she even allow that? You wouldn't allow that, would you? I would wake the guy up and tell him to retract his feet.
I probably would do, or at least do the bing bong up at the top.
You're a tattletale.
I don't know if I want the conflict of the dude right behind me.
Okay.
But that is pretty disgusting. I've had someone
you take your shoes off on the plane, though, don't you?
I would never put them up on the armrest.
But you take your shoes off.
If I'm on an international flight, I will slip my feet out for a while.
Do the socks come off, too?
No. Socks always stay on.
That's a little much right
Socks
there.
stay on, absolutely. I would never do that.
I take shoes off, too. Socks stay on. And then also, if I'm in the middle seat, then I feel like I should be able to put both my elbows down on both of the armrests.
What's your favorite?
Because I'm sacrificing it by sitting in the middle seat, so I should get the armrest.
I will almost never sit in the middle seat. What is the...
Sometimes you don't have a choice. You have to sit in the middle seat.
Sometimes you got to sit in the middle seat.
Yeah.
Is there an airport food item that you see that you would never eat anywhere else? Like, I would never have a Cinnabon anywhere else in my life. Not attracted to Cinnabon. It's not something I crave. But if it's been a long day and I'm at like O'Hare Airport in Chicago and I'm walking by that Cinnabon, so like, Cinnabon sounds pretty good.
Yeah, Albuquerque, New Mexico, whenever I'm coming back, I stop and I have a breakfast burrito, and then right after that, I go to the 31 flavors, and I say, where's the daiquiri ice? And they say, we don't have it. And I'm like, because it's not really one of the 31 flavors, and then I just have some chocolate ice cream with my son, and then and sometimes it's at 6 in the morning when we're eating chocolate ice cream.
You got to have the third Baskin Robbins.
I wish they had the. I don't understand. I don't understand why the daiquiri ice isn't one of the permanent 31 flavors, but it comes and goes. So,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Episode number 30 of the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget this week, stop by Les Schwab Tire Center, drop off a non-perishable food item, and mention the Ron and Don Show, because we have this new partnership with them, and we really appreciate that. And let them know that you appreciate hearing 3 episodes of the Ron and Don Show on a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Hit subscribe. Thanks for all the great things you've been writing about Les Schwab on our Facebook feed. we really appreciate that too. All right, just getting started. Episode number 30 of the Ron and Don Show, only on the Ron and Don Radio Network. Everything at ronandon.com. Hey, you know what? They heard your plea. Now we have three episodes of the Ron and Don Show. That's thanks to Les Schwab. Every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And don't forget, as we're heading into winter driving season, Ron, you just experienced this on one of your real estate journeys.
Yeah,
right?
I had to drive over to Chelan, or I got to drive to Chelan, and 2 mountain passes. If it had been snowing and icy, I would have been in trouble. So do what I'm going to do. Stop by Les Schwab when you see him. Say, tell him you're part of the Ron and Don Nation. Have him check it out. Say, is my rig ready for the cold winter months? And they're going to do a check for you. Make sure everything is ready. And especially if you know you're going to be going over the pass, if you know you're going to go up and be going snowing or snowboarding this year, go to Les Schwab. Get winter ready at Les Schwab. You can find a location near you at leschwab.com/Ron and Don.
Yeah, and while you stop in a Les Schwab Tire Center, do this too. Bring some food with you. A lot of times during the holidays, we're looking to help people, but we don't know how. They have it figured out at Les Schwab. They know there's 23 million Americans that go to bed every night, including 11 million children. They go to bed hungry, and so that's one of the reasons Les Schwab is teamed up. That's right. It's Drive Out Hunger and Les Schwab. They have teamed up to help make sure that every child and every adult that lives in Western Washington, that they go to bed on a full stomach. Just go to leschwab.com/Ron and Don. That's leschwab.com/Ron and Don to see how you can be a part of something bigger than yourself. Les Schwab, let's say it together. Doing the right thing, it matters.
Don't go anywhere unless you want to. It's the Ron and Don Show, starring Ron and Don, and sometimes me at ronandon.com.
I gotta say, and I've shared this with you before, it's the Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network. Every once in a while, I like to watch some of the religious channels because I think some of the speakers that they have, even if I don't agree with what they're saying, the way that they can connect with an audience, and sometimes the way that they can even bamboozle an audience is incredible to me. And one of the best speakers out there right now, I don't know if you've heard her. She's an evangelical preacher by the name of Paula White, and she travels the country. And they say that she's a modern-day Amy Semple McPherson. And I don't know if you know what Amy Semple McPherson is. There's a book written about her called From the Milk Pail to the Pulpit. She's part of the Foursquare movement. And she was one of these incredible speakers. Oftentimes, she'd stand up in a church down in Los Angeles or around the country. And they say not only could she separate people from their checkbooks, but there was a lot of healing that was going on. And people would come in wheelchairs and they would leave without their wheelchairs. People would come and they would be on crutches and they'd leave without their crutches. They say that something would happen when she would speak. A lot of people say in a modern era, same thing is happening with Paula White. The interesting thing about Paula White, a great speaker, she went through a divorce a number of years ago. And a lot of times you go through a divorce, especially if you're a female pastor, you'd be taken out of the ministry. She wasn't taken out of the ministry. She has doubled down. In fact, now she is the president, Donald Trump. She is his spiritual advisor. And this is something that she is saying in the new year. And maybe this is something that we should try too, because it seems to be working for her, is she is telling everyone that listens to her, whether it be on her podcast or whether it be in churches that she's speaking in, she is telling everybody that they should take the first paycheck of the year and send it to, let me check right here, and you should send it to... Nope. That's kind of interesting. You should send that to your local church. No, she doesn't say that. You should send that to the local food bank. No, she doesn't say that. You should send that to the local homeless shelter. She doesn't say that. What you should do is you should send the first paycheck of the year and you should send that to her. And if you're obedient to God by doing that, then your life this year financially is really going to take off. Some people upset that she's saying this. Some people upset that she is connected to Donald Trump. They say that she's running a Ponzi scheme. And there's some people that say that she'd even be arrested. I will say this, though. When it comes to spiritual advisors, and Paula White is a spiritual advisor of Donald Trump, you have to be careful with spiritual advisors. We saw this happen with Laura Bush. We saw this happen with Billy Graham, and he was a spiritual advisor for a lot of the presidents. And when you look at the things that Billy Graham said over the years about people in the gay, lesbian, transgender community, there'd be a lot of people that would push back and say, wow, I don't appreciate the fact that the president is spiritual advisor is someone like Billy Graham. What is your take on Paula White here? And have you been thinking about taking your first paycheck of the year and sending it to her? Because you could have an incredible year financially. Don't send it to a children's fund. Send it to Paula White.
There's a lot to unpack here for me specifically. And I think, because I have known people in my life that wanted to believe in the prosperity doctrine, and that's what she's known for. This idea that if you preemptively give to the right group, and she's claiming to be that right group, that God sees that and that he will bless you. That's the key to unlocking some sort of blessings in your life, is that you have to give first. And so while I think there is something to that, there's something to being generous without expecting anything in return, but it's not like a cosmic ATM. My own experience with that, with people that I've known personally, is that it is among the most damaging things that I've ever seen in a religious setting. The people that I've seen that believed that if they were good enough, or if they gave enough, or that they fill in the blank enough, that then God somehow would then give it back to them 10 times or whatever the doctrine says, ended up being the most disillusioned.
Pressed down, shaken together, and running over.
Right. The most disillusioned, the most shaky, I guess would be a word, where they just felt like they were doing something wrong, that it was their fault that this bounty wasn't showing up in their lives, and that then they would get in this weird feedback loop where they'd want to double down. It's almost like a gambling addiction, where it's like, oh, I've lost $1,000, I'm going to double down. And now I'm really going to go for it, and then I'm going to hit a big score. And so they see spirituality becomes transactional to them. And so that, to me, has been very damaging to people that I have known personally. And the weird thing is, it's a perversion of a truth. I think there is a truth that if you are generous, that by and large, generosity flows back your way. It's not a guarantee, but it generally, when you meet people in life that freely give, stuff sort of comes their way. And so I do think, I also think the secular version of this is that the promise, or whatever that is, where I'm going to speak into the universe the things that I want to manifest in my life, and that somehow by doing that and releasing that energy into the universe is going to respond and answer you. I think that's equally as dangerous. That life doesn't work that way. I can't go out and say, I'm speaking into the universe a new Ferrari and an all-expense paid trip around the world, and that I'm going to make $300,000 next year. That's not how it works. And so I don't like it when you're preying on people's desperation. And whether it's the promise or whether it's someone like this lady, that I think you're preying on an intrinsic desire for people to want to get a shortcut to where they want to go. And so they buy into this hucksterism. The second layer to me is the fact that she has audience in the White House, and that she has audience with the President of the United States, lends legitimacy to her position for a lot of people. And I think that's dangerous. I think that people out there, if you play this out, someone that is not that sophisticated, that gives the first paycheck of the year to her and then misses rent or can't pay for their kids' food and it spirals out of control, they're going to blame themselves by and large for that.
Yeah, according to Newsweek, she's the senior pastor at New Destiny Christian Center in Florida. She's also spearheading President Trump's Faith and Opportunity Initiative. And then since taking on the official role, the prominent televangelist has continued to sell religious items. And then she's also saying this, that if you send her your January paycheck, that God will pay you back with interest. Probably with somebody else's February paycheck, is what I would imagine.
Right. So it seems like a Ponzi scheme.
How does that work?
Certainly. Is she related to Bernie Madoff?
She also warned that those who do not obey the call would face consequences from God. How about that? And they say she is worth somewhere between $5 and $10 million. So I don't even know if she needs your January paycheck.
This reminds me of the other prosperity preacher last year that said God wanted him to upgrade his jet, his private jet.
$70 million
because
Gulfstream,
God wanted him to travel in luxury as he spread the prosperity gospel around the world. And his listeners and followers needed to help him. I think he wanted a Gulfstream.
He did.
He needed to go from his regular private jet up to a Gulfstream private jet.
It was a Gulfstream, but he needed a better Gulfstream.
Right. Well, God wanted
the Gulfstream had gotten old.
Why shouldn't he have?
Yeah. Anyway, just getting started. It's the Ron and Don Show. If you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself, you can do that this holiday season. Stop by any Les Schwab Tire Center, drop off a non-perishable food item now between when you hear this and Black Friday. And they're going to collect all those, give all that gear, and give all that stuff to Food Lifeline. I drop off stuff for babies, baby formula. I'll drop off some baby diapers sometimes. So think about that, too. As you're feeding your baby this holiday season, maybe there's a baby out there that needs your help. Les Schwab's going to do that. 85 locations to serve you. LesSchwab.com, because doing the right thing, you know it matters.
You should buy a shirt. It's the Ron and Don Nation t-shirt. $5 goes toward helping kids. It's cops helping kids. Find out more at ronanddon.com.
Hey, you know what? They heard your plea. Now we have three episodes of the Ron and Don Show. That's thanks to Les Schwab. Every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And don't forget, as we're heading into winter driving season, Ron, you just experienced this on one of your real estate journeys.
Yeah, I had to drive over to Chelan, or I got to drive to Chelan, and 2 mountain passes. If it had been snowing and icy, I would have been in trouble. So do what I'm going to do. Stop by Les Schwab when you see him. Say, tell him you're part of the Ron and Don Nation. Have him check it out. Say, is my rig ready for the cold winter months? And they're going to do a check for you. Make sure everything is ready. And especially if you know you're going to be going over the pass, if you know you're going to go up and be going snowing or snowboarding this year, go to Les Schwab. Get winter ready at Les Schwab. You can find a location near you at LesSchwab.com/Ron and Don.
Yeah, and while you stop in a Les Schwab Tire Center, do this too. Bring some food with you. A lot of times during the holidays, we're looking to help people, but we don't know how. They have it figured out at Les Schwab. They know there's 23 million Americans that go to bed every night, including 11 million children. They go to bed hungry, and so that's one of the reasons Les Schwab is teamed up. That's right. It's Drive Out Hunger and Les Schwab. They have teamed up to help make sure that every child and every adult that lives in Western Washington, that they go to bed on a full stomach. Just go to LesSchwab.com/Ron and Don. That's LesSchwab.com/Ron and Don to see how you can be a part of something bigger than yourself. Les Schwab, let's say it together. Doing the right thing, it matters. All right, it's the Ron and Don Show, only on the Ron and Don Radio Network, brought to you by Ron and Don Licensed Realtors. We are licensed brokers at Windermere. We do something called a Ron and Don Sit-Down. Did a couple of these last week. We sit down, we grab a cup of coffee, and we chat about where you are in your real estate journey. And guess what? Everyone's in a different place. Maybe you're going to do something months from now. Maybe it's years from now. Maybe it's days from now, weeks from now. Let's sit down, have a conversation, a Ron and Don Sit-Down. You come to our offices at Windermere and pour a cup of coffee. Just sit down and chat, all right? Ron Upshaw, Windermere.com, Don O'Neill, Windermere.com. All of it is at ronandon.com.
There's a remarkable story in People magazine, and it's also coming on Netflix, and I'm really curious to get your take on this. It involves the Lewis twins, Alex Lewis and his twin brother Marcus, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to tell the story. So they grew up, they had a horrible childhood. All right, they're both of their parents were very abusive. Their mother actually was sexually abusive to these young twins, and it was just a rough childhood. And so at age 18, Alex gets one of the twin brothers. He gets in a motorcycle accident, and so his brother Marcus rushes to the hospital to be by his twin brother's side. And so when he wakes up, Alex recognizes his twin, and so he says, "Hello, Marcus." But he's like, I don't remember anything. I remember you, but I have no recollection of our life whatsoever. And so he's begging his twin brother. He's like, bring me up to speed. Like, we look alike. I know you're my brother. Help me to reconstruct my life from 0 to 18. And so Marcus has a choice here, and it's interesting what he does. Marcus decides to fabricate a different childhood for his twin brother. And so instead of telling his twin, we had 2 abusive parents, our childhood was horrific, this happened, that happened, all of these bad things happened, he said, you know what, I'm going to invent a new childhood for my brother. And he believes he's doing the right thing. So Marcus is like, man, Alex, we had a great childhood. We used to do this, we used to do that. He paints this picture for his brother to reconstruct his memories of happy times, happy memories, happy trips to Grandma and Grandpa's house, trips to their favorite amusement park. He makes up a narrative to bring Alex back from this horrific motorcycle accident. And so Alex believes this. And why wouldn't he? So he believes this. He's going through life now into his 20s, believing the story that Marcus told him up until the point where his parents died. So both of his parents died in pretty short order of different types of cancer. And so Marcus didn't grieve. And so he got curious about that. And he's like, that's weird. Marcus is such a kind brother, and he's been so amazing to me in my rehab. Why would he not grieve when our parents died? And so he asked him about that. And so it basically, through some therapy, some things, it's revealed to him that, yeah, I made all that stuff up about our life. And then it's turned into now a book deal and then to a Netflix special where they're trying to untie. It's called Tell Me Who I Am. So it's on Netflix right now. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but just unpack what's going on for you when you hear this story of what Marcus did, and then the final thing, Alex uncovered a photograph that his mother had when they went to clean out her place after she died, and it triggered some memories for him. He confronted Marcus, and Marcus finally told him, yeah, what I told you about your ideal childhood, that wasn't true.
Yeah, I don't believe any of this. I think what happens, you have 2 brothers that were sitting around, and they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should get on Netflix. How do we get a Netflix show? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invent the fact that I lost my mind and my memory, and then you're going to come in, and you're going to tell lies, and you're going to be a liar, pants are on fire, and then we're not going to be getting along with each other. And then all of it, come on, they weren't getting along until they got a book deal, and Netflix started following them around with a camera, and now all of a sudden they love each other, and well,
I think they could have these repressed memories.
They have this connection and this bond. So
I think if you were abused as a child, you could go through life and not.
They weren't talking to each other. This was not a kumbaya moment until there was money in it, and a book deal, and a Netflix for both of them. Then all of a sudden they're both on board.
No, they unpacked it further after that happened.
They unpacked it because they're unpacking a wallet full of cash. That's what they're doing.
I think you're being cynical.
That's what they're doing.
I think you should watch it.
I think this whole thing is cynical.
Did you watch the 3 Identical Strangers?
Next thing you're going to tell me that Paula White is their pastor.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have to send her my first month.
I think you're being cynical. Would you, if I lost my memory.
My first paycheck of the year. What?
If I lost my memory.
Yeah.
I would want you to tell me that my life was good growing up.
It was good.
I know, but if there was a horrific thing, I wouldn't want you to tell me.
It was good.
Yeah, I did have a good life.
But better than expected.
But my point is,
better than you deserve.
Bob
and Alice gave you a life better than you deserve. That is true. Better than you deserve.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. If I had horrific moments, though, you shouldn't tell me those when I'm recovering from my accident.
Well, let me ask you, because you were adopted, would you want to know that you were adopted?
Yes, that's not horrific.
Well, for some people it is. You always bring it up. You're like, hey, there's a reason why people were adopted, and you bring up the 3 reasons. We don't have to go into that right now, but they're not great.
Yeah, if it was one of those reasons, no. But if we already knew that it was a good reason, then maybe yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's an interesting storyline. I don't think it's a hoax. You're trying to say it's like fake news. I'm not
saying it's a hoax. I think what they did, though, is they developed this storyline when they found out there was money in it for them.
No, they were developing the storyline, and then the storyline was given to people.
Exactly. They were developing
You're
the storyline.
so cynical.
Developed. It was developed.
How else are these things supposed to become documentaries?
That's the way they become documentaries.
It's
and
not
people find
all
out.
fueled by money.
Come
They're
on.
in their
This
50s now.
This is a reality-based television show.
They're in their
You think
50s now.
everything you walk... The only reality-based television show out there that is the truth, and you can write it down, take it to the bank, is the Kardashians. When you're trying to keep up with them, you know that's real TV. And all these things that happen, you know that that's real. This right here, come on.
No.
Give me a break.
I'm going to watch it. Watch it on Netflix, and I'll report back after I see this thing.
You will. All right. Hey, don't forget, Ron and Don licensed realtors at Windermere. We do something called a Ron and Don coffee or sit down. We'd love to sit down with you. Reach out to us, Ron Upshaw at Windermere.com, Don O'Neill at Windermere.com. We love to be a part of your life's biggest transactions. All right. It's the Ron and Don Show only on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys. Are you ready for the best show in the Pacific Northwest? Here's my dad to his boyfriend and friend. You're listening
Ron and Don Show.
to the Ron and Don Show. And yes, my dad's pretty annoying.
All right, I'm starting to show up at, my son's writing stories now for school, and he goes out to something called typing.com. He's been practicing his typing. He can type now at the age of 9 better than I could. I went to personal type. I learned, this is the class I went to. When I was a senior in high school, I learned to type. I went to personal typing for seniors. Did you go to that class?
No, I was learning in junior high. You are the most aggressive typer
Very, yes.
of anyone I've ever met. Like,
Very, very aggressive.
Don hits the buttons. So you got a brand new MacBook
Yeah.
a couple months ago. The buttons look like they've been through World War II.
Because they have been.
Like why do you hit the keystroke
I have
so
a lot
hard?
of intention in my heart. I have intention.
But
That's intention.
You realize that hitting the button harder doesn't mean... Like, you basically type in all caps.
I guess I don't realize that. I guess I don't. Anyway, he started writing these stories, and now I am showing up in the stories. And I always wondered...
As you?
I always wondered how I would show up in the stories. And he wrote a story the other day about Charlie, his dog. Mm-hmm. And then as he's writing the story, I show up in the story. And when I show up in the story, I'm yelling at my son and I'm yelling at Charlie.
Okay, so it's an autobiographical
So I'm
piece.
yelling at those two. And then he's the hero in the story.
Of course he is.
So he's like doing heroic stuff.
Can I read the story?
He is doing heroic. And then...
Oh, can I see do a timeout here real quick?
Yeah.
Because I introduced your son to Mahjong the other day.
Okay.
Is he hooked now? Because we had a blast. We played checkers first.
Okay.
And I didn't take it easy on him. I beat him in checkers.
He did
want to
come. He did want to come over here today and not go to school because he said that you guys had started playing a game together. So he wanted to play a game with Mr.
So
Ron.
we played. I beat him in checkers soundly.
Oh wow!
I had 7 kings and he had 3 kings, and I beat him soundly in that. I'm not going to let him win. But then we teamed up to play Mahjong, and he had never played before, and he has a good aptitude at Mahjong. So just if he wants to, you should play that with him because it's a good brain game.
Yeah, they say playing chess, playing checkers for kids is a good brain game.
And Mahjong.
And typing at typing.com. Anyway, I was a little brokenhearted to see that I was yelling at his perception.
It might just be your tone.
His perception that I'm yelling at him and the dog. And then later on, evidently, he says in the story that I don't like the dog sleeping in the bed and that I yelled at him and the dog about sleeping in the bed. That's not true. And I wanted to write a corrective letter
retraction
to his teacher saying that is not true. Guess who doesn't like the dog in the bed? I allow the dog in one bed, and that is his bed, my son's bed. He's allowed to sleep in that bed. He's not allowed on any of the furniture in the house. My son doesn't like him on the bed because when I take Charlie trail running, and even if I wash him off in the shower, he still has all these dirt clods that end up coming off in the bed, and my son doesn't like that. My son is a neat freak. And so I wanted to write the teacher and say, hey, I'd like to clarify something here. Number one,
it's a story. It's fiction.
I don't think I'm yelling at Charlie and my son.
I'm not yelling.
Right.
Let me make it clear. There's no yelling. Let me
Yeah.
No yelling.
Yeah. So, and then I read this study that said yelling at your dog, especially when your dog's young, is not good for your dog.
No, absolutely not.
And they went in and they looked at dogs that have been trained and treat trained and all that. And they say, the studies show that later on, your dog will probably have brain damage if you're yelling at your dog.
That's a pretty good story because I've looked at stories that you wrote as a child.
Yeah.
And this has character development.
My son's story?
It's got a story arc.
But it's not true.
Doesn't matter.
It's not true.
Your stories were horrific.
Well,
back in the day, you had the big
mine
pad.
always involve astronauts, aliens, and ice cream.
Right.
And sometimes witches when I would tell stories. I wouldn't throw my father under the bus. I should have. But I surely wouldn't throw my dad under the bus because he would read that story and then I'd end up getting spanked as a result of that.
It's a fictionalized version of you.
I think if parents are out there and you are, I think there should be you should allow a correction because these stories
like an editor's note.
They're going back to the teacher. Then they take these stories, they read them in front of the class. Then they take these stories and they post them on the halls of his elementary school. And I'm looking.
So you're just worried about your reputation.
I am.
Not the fact that your son is writing a beautiful story.
Yeah.
It's the fact that your reputation has now been damaged.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've been trying real hard not to yell at anybody, which is hard for me.
They should have like a comment section next to the letters.
I don't think I'm yelling. I think I'm just very enthusiastic. You've seen me over here with my son and my dog. Do I yell at them or am I just enthusiastic?
You'll yell at the dog. When your dog was spreading blue ink all over my white carpet, you yelled.
He had it coming. Didn't get a treat for that. And then he left you a treat in the garage.
Yes, that was quite a day.
And then you drove over in your truck.
Quite a day. I wonder if Les Schwab would take care of that if I drove
Notice
in.
Charlie is out in the truck right now.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
He's out in the truck. Yeah, my son's at school. So anyway. Hey, keep your head up, your shoulders back. He's Ron. I'm Don. We are licensed brokers with Windermere. You can reach out to Ron Upshaw at Windermere.com, Don O'Neill at Windermere.com. And we'd love to have a cup of coffee with you and talk to you about where you are in your real estate
And
journey.
we are going to drop a show tomorrow for Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
For all the people that are going to be bored with their family by the time the stuffing comes out, they can just join us on the podcast on Thanksgiving.
All right, there you go. All right. We'll see you next time, and happy gobble gobble to everybody this week. And don't forget, it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. Yeah, just ask the pilgrims, right? Huh. Yeah, maybe don't ask that. Ron and Don. Everything at ronanddon.com.
Ron and Don.
You good? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.